Oh, good. I'm glad that wasn't recording.
Yeah, I didn't record that. Although people enjoy that kind of stuff, you know. All right, so welcome to the referral challenge Q&A mastermind call for Monday, June the 5th. We are excited to be here. It's a wonderful day, and we're going to get into it. All right, so Arin, let us know how things are going on your end and anything that we can help you with.
You know, so, I mean, things are going really well. I guess it's relative. I'm kind of curious, and I don't know, and I thought about posting this in the Facebook. So we've been after this goal of 150 clients, and, you know, I've implemented a marketing strategy. We've been checking everything off the list. I almost feel like you have to keep Facebook as part of your strategy, but not the whole truth, nothing but the truth, because for whatever reason, every Facebook lead that we have gotten has not been, like, if they do stay with us for 6 months and they were in a 12-month commitment, they almost have all bought out of their contracts. So they fulfill, they get in, and I don't know what the deal is with that lead. And so that's why I keep going back to, okay, in this month, we've signed up 7 people, you know, 4 of them came from Facebook, 3 of them came from referrals. Guess which ones are still clients? The 3 that came from referrals. So, I mean, I obviously get what we're getting after and making referral that is your main piece of it. So I just was curious, like, if other people have been feeling that with leads from Facebook. And I don't know.
Yeah, now I'll tell you, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm going to show you something real quick. This is, I just this morning, I was working on a document that I'm going to be using for a presentation, and this is and the first thing I'm talking about is Facebook. And so the fact number 1 is lots of local business owners are dependent on Facebook advertising for their leads right now and have been for the past few years. Fact number 2 is, over the last year, I haven't heard a single business owner say that advertising on Facebook has gotten easier, more effective, or cheaper. Instead, what we hear is that it's getting harder, more competitive, and more expensive. And so this little graph kind of sums it up. The trend is not positive on Facebook. There's no doubt about it. There are exceptions. Of course there are exceptions. But for the most part, the trend is not positive. The number of leads is diminishing, and the cost of leads is going up. So it's not a promising scenario by any means. You know, that's obviously your experience and
multiple
experience of the vast majority, if not everyone I've heard from. Still, however, as I've always said, whenever I talk about this stuff, I'm not advocating that anybody should stop advertising on Facebook. Clearly, right. You got to keep, maybe you don't have to, but you should, if it's continuing to work to drive in leads, even if they're a little bit lower quality or dramatically lower quality. I think you still need to work on that, because you can get more leads quicker, generally speaking, that way than any other way. So, but the reality is you can't be dependent on it. So to answer your question, everybody I've talked to is experiencing almost exactly what you're talking about. The only suggestion I can make to you, and I'd like to get Arin's input on this too, is working on the messaging of your ads more, putting a stronger message out there, saying things like, hey, we don't mess around with, you know, folks who, this is not some quick fix kind of thing.
Right.
This is a 6 to 12 month commitment that you're going to be making, and the reason for that is because that's how results are produced. You know, blah blah blah. That type of message. It will definitely diminish the number of leads. Your lead cost will go up. But as I was just reading earlier today, as I was creating this article, and in fact, I'll share it. Because this is, you guys, everybody should see this, and I'll be posting this in the group. Let me pull this up real quick. Very good article from Noah Kagan, who's the guy behind AppSumo and OKDork, and he's the former marketing guy for Mint.com. He was behind all their marketing before they sold at $170 million. And he used to work for Facebook. He was one of the guys who helped build their advertising platform. So what he says is absolutely worth paying attention to. So let me just show you this article real quick. And I'll put the link in the Facebook group. But so it's at okdork.com, how to start advertising on Facebook. And he talks about what I learned spending $3 million on Facebook ads. It's a lengthy article, very detailed, gives a lot of excellent feedback on how to dial in your Facebook advertising, and some very good tips that he's learned. And this is new. He just posted this a couple months ago, I believe, updated April 30th, 2017. So it's current information. It's helpful. And I think, worthwhile for everybody to read, people that are doing Facebook advertising. It's not the big answer by any means. I think the big answer is what we're teaching here, but it helps, it will help with your Facebook ads if you can get that dialed in a little bit. I just rambled on. Anyway, go ahead. Arin, Crocker, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's going to get more and more competitive. Eric, would be worthwhile kind of showing what I did with Adrian's 2 campaigns, the one he wrote and the one I wrote. You think that'd be a good thing to do at this point, or what do you think?
I think so. If Arin, do you want to? Arin Lindauer, you want to get? We can dig in a little bit here if you want, and just give you some examples, because Arin did what I think, and I think time will bear out that wrote a really effective Facebook ad by positioning it completely different, hitting the right benefit, stuff like that. You want to take a look at that?
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. The reason I feel like this is still something, we need to keep multiple poles in the water as always. But like you guys are saying, it's going to get more competitive. There's going to be more challenges when doing this. So yeah, anything that can kind of like, hey, try this, try that. And I liked what you said, Eric, with be very intentional. Hey, this is a 6 to 12 month commitment. Like, we're not looking for just your flash in the pan kind of clients. And even if that means I get less leads, at least I know they're going to be more quality, because even if I'm putting my targeted audience perfectly, it's still not foolproof. I'm still getting people that are not in our category of income. And then my second question to that is, does Facebook ads work better for your $29 to $100 offer versus your $200, $300, 6 to 12 month commitment? So I'm questioning whether or not should you use Facebook more for a lower tiered service online, something like that, and does it thrive, or should we still focus? I guess there's probably a yes to both. It's just testing. So
yeah, well, just real quick, Arin, before I forget, let me just jump.
Yeah. No.
I wanted to show you that Noah Kagan article, and one of the big points he makes in there is that it's how you measure your ads, and the measurement should not be focused on click-through rate or cost per lead or any of those things. The bottom line measurement is profit. And, it's always about the bottom line. It's about ROI. And so I think the reason I mention that is because if you do, let's say, become more intentional about your advertising, more restrictive in terms of the type of people that you're willing to accept, certainly your lead costs are going to go up dramatically. Your cost per acquisition is going to go up dramatically. However, if these people stick for 6 to 12 months, your profit should also go up dramatically. And that is ultimately what the objective is. So, Arin, go ahead, Crocker.
So welcome, Deena.
Yeah, welcome, Deena. Hi.
And so what we're talking about is a quick backup, an overview for you. Is we're talking about Adrian's lack of, Arin's lack of overall performance for the Facebook. People will come in and they'll be gone quick, or as referral people hang around. So we're talking about Facebook optimization kind of at the moment, right? So, Arin, look, the thing that I would like to, or hope to get across to everybody listening is you've got to figure out the client's problem, right? Because demographics aren't markets, genders aren't markets, right? Yeah, household income aren't markets, problems are markets. Mm-hmm. It's solving a problem. And so I'm going to share my screen and show what we did with Adrian's Facebook post, right? All right, so Adrian sent me this as a, as a starting point. He wrote this, and basically he's announcing a Kalamazoo boot camp, and is hosting its first program, youth program for girls 12 to 17. And you're going to get unlimited accountability and support from the kid, educational, focused on self-esteem, body image, pressure, bullying, and fun, motivating workouts to go with every session, non-judgmental place for the kid to grow. All right, so 30 girls, deadline, and get all the details at this link. And the headline, we're hosting our first ever girls summer youth program, and you're invited. Give your daughter the summer experience you'll never forget. All right, so I found several things problematic with this ad. On the surface, you know, it's sweet, it's nice, it communicates that they're opening their first program. But for me, it was lacking a real problem solving and emotional communication. So I changed it and sent it back. Oops, wrong one. And so what I wanted to do was find out basically what's bugging parents. So I did a bit of research, and I kind of jumped over on some forums, and I did some other things that I'll talk about at another training one day. But I decided to find out what really is the hot spot for the parent. And so based on that quick research, I wanted to clear things up, right? A summer camp designed to improve your daughter's confidence in life, right? So the Kalamazoo Boot Camp proudly announces our summer youth program. I took out our first because I didn't want the community to think this is the first time we've ever done this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so announces our summer youth program exclusively for girls, right? So then I gave them what this thing was all about in the first sentence, right? Or the first line of this, right? So it's 8 weeks, it's 16 sessions, it's an educational workout course, and it's offered twice a week. So now we've clearly made our offer. This is what we're doing, right? Here's the hot spots, right? We want strategies and tactics to help girls feel more confident and secure in their skin, right? And so methods to increase emotional intelligence during times of stress, right? So what parent doesn't want their kid more emotionally intelligent, right? Workouts that provide a positive outlet for dealing with stress and peer pressure, negative body image, and unspoken anger issues. Well, you know those kids have these unspoken anger issues, and we're going to teach them how to deal with it, right? Practical advice from community leaders on how to deal with bullying, drug abuse, temptations, and even self-defense, and how to update hairstyles and get the look from home, the best age-appropriate makeup techniques, and a mix and match wardrobe strategies using clothes she already owns. Right now, we don't have to spend any more money. Right? Fun, motivating workouts, unlimited accountability, non-judgmental. All right. Key statement here. The most common way people give up their power is thinking they don't have any. Let Kalamazoo Fit Body Boot Camp make your daughter know her own power. Right? And then the headline, confidence is true beauty. Right? And then give your daughter the next boot camp she'll never forget. All right. So within hours, 12, 18 hours, they already had 30 shares.
Nice. That's awesome.
And so the great takeaway and lesson here is, again, think about what problems you can solve.
Right.
And address those in your Facebook communications. and then talk about how, you know, your program is for the serious minded only or whatever.
Right. So keep it up, solving problems, emotional things that really tug at people. Cause I mean, those were obviously all things that anybody would want their daughter. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And the dimensionalization of problems too,
Yeah.
That, you know, instead of saying, hey, you know, you're overweight, here's how to lose weight. That's, you know, it's a very basic issue that everybody talks about that. So you want to when you dimensionalize a problem, when you add specificity to it and detail to it, then it resonates more deeply with the individual who's reading it. It makes them say, hey, this person understands me and what my problem is specifically. So it takes it from the general to the specific, and specificity is hugely powerful. And you see, that's what Arin did with all those different bullets, very specific, you know, to these problems. And that's the difference between an average copywriter and a high-level copywriter like Arin. I mean, that is that is the shit. And I think we will see that ad blow up. You know, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit to see that ad really take off.
No, that's cool. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, really.
Seeing the dimension.
It's good stuff. So I guess, you know, in terms of the larger issue though, Arin, as we said, I'd keep the Facebook ads running. I'd try and dial them in a little bit better, and continue to work towards that. And then of course, continue to work the referral side, which I know you're doing aggressively. Yeah. What, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's no, spot on. I think this was just kind of the other side of the sword too, is in business. So we keep trying to hit this 150 client goal, and we cannot seem to get past like 124. We've touched the 130s. We've actually been in the 140s before, but 130s, and that's when we had like a big promotion and transformation challenge going on. And then I don't know why my question is, so business when it was just Tony and I, and we had, you know, maybe a couple staff members, business was, you know, extremely lucrative. You had great margins. And then, you know, we've worked it now that we have our full-time fit pros. We do pay them a salary. We have a bonus structure according to KPIs, all that good stuff. So, I mean, expenses are managed very, very well. But you always want to have better net profit, all that good stuff. And so we were having this really long conversation because this is all we talk about. But the business makes the most sense when it was just him and I, or just a couple fit pros, and, you know, maybe 75, 100 clients. But then you get to this 120 and you can't seem to push to that 150, 200 mark. But I know if we can get to that 150, 200, it's going to feel like it felt, I don't know. And so I guess I'm talking in circles to say, like, are there thresholds? Is there ever, I guess this is multiple questions, but is there ever a point where you just say, this is okay, and quit pushing for a goal that you're continuously, or is that the true entrepreneur in you that you're never going to be satisfied? Even if we had 150, would you want 200? Like,
yeah. These are great questions. I mean, and it's interesting too, because Adrian, the person whose ad Arin just showed, reached out to me over the weekend, and we had a little discussion about some of these exact issues. And he was saying that, hey, when he's got, I think, Arin Crocker, correct me if I'm wrong, around 250 campers or so. Is that, yeah, okay. So he's got about 250 boot campers. He has a Fit Body boot camp. And he was saying that, hey, when it was just him and that his camp was much smaller, he didn't say an exact number, but I would assume in the hundreds or so, he said things were a lot more fun. He was making a lot more money. Things were a lot easier. Now he's running into all these issues, these growth and management issues. And I could hear it, even though it was typed. I could feel this tenseness and stress that he was experiencing. And I tried to help him through that. But so your problem is a common problem. And I'll tell you from my own experience, Arin, and this is, when I had fitness marketing systems and I was doing about $500,000 a year and I was literally getting rich. I was literally making so much money that I was aggressively looking for ways to invest it. I didn't know what else to do with it. But I thought, I would really like to grow this into something more significant and cool and fun and exciting. And I'm an entrepreneur. This is what I want to do.
Right.
That's when I started MPE, and we grew so aggressively and so fast that there were no profits. And it continued that way for years and years and years. So yet that we were called Net Profit Explosion, there was no net profit. Okay. I made half of what I made during NPE years as I did when I ran fitness marketing systems. And the gross revenue was 10 times in NPE what it was with fitness marketing. So the point is, you have to, and this is the best advice I can give you, you have to set up your business to support your lifestyle. You got to determine what it is you want, what's most important to you, and then create that business to support that vision.
Right.
For me, the vision is lean and mean and highly profitable. That's what I want.
Right.
That's what Arin and I are building.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's where some days I'm like, why do we want to get 150? Like, what does that mean? And because I think it was just a number out there to hit, and it wasn't necessarily, okay, what does that number produce? And because I even looked back at last year through all the trials and tribulations of having our son, things not going so swell when we had him. We replaced our entire staff right before we had him. I remember last year at this time, I was 30 some weeks pregnant and I was training clients, which I hadn't done in years. And I'm like, of course I'd be this pregnant doing push-ups and my belly hits the floor first. But we actually had the best year last year, and we had the best net profit last year. So I'm trying to figure out, even though there was 50,000 crazy things happening, what was it? And was it okay? Should we just stay at this spot? Or I don't know. I guess I don't know what or is either. So
yeah.
So Arin, look, there's that phrase out there. It's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so scalability is a great problem right now.
Yep.
Right? Scalability with profit.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so have you done the math? You know what happens at 150. Do you have the greatest year this coming year? If you do?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And actually, so what's interesting is at 114 clients, anything above, and both Tony and I sat down and ran all the numbers at each phase, and anything above 114, we are in a very good net profit, and all of our systems will support, and our manpower supports to about 150. Our systems that we have currently today would not have to be tweaked to sustain and still give the service and the product that we give today. After about 150, we feel we would have to hire another coach. So then obviously that adds in another salary. So yes.
For me, that's very key, right? If you've got the system already there, and all you have to do now is just scale up to 150, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's one problem off the table, right? Because if you had to turn around to get 150, you had to bring on additional staff. That's where my concern was on your profitability. Right. All right. Well, Eric, what do you think, bud? I mean, how do we get her from what's your current rate right now?
Right now we're in the 114s. So 114, we were sitting at 120, and we for whatever reason have had like 4 people buy out of their contract, like actually pay 2 months, $400 to $500 to get out of this contract. And it's like every reason under the sun. So it's probably just when it rains, it pours kind of thing. And I just need to get over it, but we can't seem to get past about the 120s. We'll get to 120s, hold there for like a month or two, and we cannot get it I know, number one, I'm not getting enough leads in the door. I'm only getting about 5 to 7 consults a month right now. So my marketing doesn't support. I need to get 10 to 15. And we do have some work to do with our staff. They're doing a great job. We just need to probably get a little more energy, just a little more accountability with our own team. Because our retention rate's about, we need to keep it at 4%, and it's about 10% right now. So that's too high.
That's your attrition rate. You're losing 10% per month?
Yes. So that's been hurting big time because I'm not bringing in enough clients. We told our team at 4% is where we're comfortable. And they make bonuses at 120. They make bonuses at 130, 140, and 150. So right now they're just getting their base salary, which sucks. I mean, but they're okay with it.
Yeah. So you've got, and Deena, thanks for being patient. We're going to get.
Sorry.
It's actually quite interesting because a lot of the things you're discussing are similar to our situation here. So.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that because this is a really interesting conversation. So I want to keep digging on this just for a few more minutes. And the attrition rate concerns me, Arin, and I'm sure it concerns you. Your target is 4, your experience is 10. That's more than double your target. And so at 120 clients, you're losing 12 per month. How many are you gaining per month?
We're only gaining 5 to 7. Yeah. So that's why our number keeps going down. And honestly, that's probably, I'm being a little aggressive. We haven't lost that many every single month, but it's enough that it's stinging right now. And again, I think when it rains, it pours. But I also kind of wonder, you can only get on your staff so much, but it does come back to what they're doing. And then I kind of look back as us as the leaders. Okay, we've been MIA dealing with Leo. Does that, it probably weighs into it as well. So it's all the above. There's not like one huge blaring problem. I'm in there at 5:45 a.m. doing my workout because that's when I like to do it. Now that I'm post all of his stuff, but so I kind of saw the energy this morning and I was like, okay, we got to pick that up. So that's one little tweak. They're just little tweaks. Tony's going back through the accountability. We do reviews June and December. And he said, the accountability isn't where we want it. So he's pulling reports to then now continue to retrain the staff and all that. So, we get that piece of it. They're doing a good job. We need them to do an excellent job is what I'm getting at. But that also comes back from us. We need to be a little more diligent with them.
Can I ask you a question, Adrian? Arin,
you're good.
Adrian on the brain. And if you don't want to answer this,
you're good.
We'll answer this on off camera if you need to. But you said you had a complete staffing changeover. How long ago was that?
It was over a year ago. We just celebrated everybody's 1 year, and we celebrate Brandon's 2 year. So everybody's been on staff 2 years, and then 3 have been on staff 1 year apiece.
Okay, so you're past any of the new trainer head jobs, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The key is retention here, because even at 5 to 7 new clients a month, if you were to cut your attrition in half, or maybe it's not as high as 10, but even if it's at 8, if you can cut it down to 4, you're gaining those 2,
right?
As opposed to losing it. So that the focus, I think, certainly you want to work both sides of it. So you want to work the flow and you want to work the attrition, the retention side. But of the two, I think, to me, it sounds like the retention is a more urgent issue for you. And I don't quite know how to get to the bottom of this, but all I can think of is trying your best to get really good information from everybody who bails, particularly people who buy out a contract, indicating that the only reason I would accept as a business owner for somebody buying out a contract from me, and not, I wouldn't turn them down. I'm just saying the only reason that I would say it's okay is if that person said, I'm broke, I've got a death in the family, we need funds urgently, or I'm moving, or something like
Right.
that.
Right.
Otherwise, there's something that I did wrong.
Right.
Right.
Well, and that's what I think we need to pop out the survey. Even though I'm like scared to do it because, hearing it sometimes is tough. But on the other hand, if you don't ask, you won't know. So I think surveying, I also think we stopped really loving on our clients. We used to do monthly workshops. We used to do the newsletters. I mean, we did a lot of things. We'd mail them stuff. And we just kind of stopped doing that. So I do think parts of that is missing. I mean, they still get a weekly blog post, so we do touch them once a week in addition to the rest of our list, but I just don't think it's enough now for a $200 to $300 paying member. We need to love on them a little bit more than just having a private Facebook, getting a weekly blog post. There still needs to be all the things that we used to do. So I think survey.
Yeah, and there's a lot to that, without a doubt. And you have to do it, intelligently in order to manage your costs so that your margin, you don't get that margin creep issue, or you don't get it eating into your margins too dramatically. But the most important thing, I think, you tell me what your thoughts on this are, would be a one-to-one personal conversation with anyone who's canceling, and regardless, and just trying to get as much as probing in that conversation as you are in a sales situation.
Right.
Do you do that with people? Do you actually have a conversation with them?
Yeah, when they're buying out their contract, I mean, it is, hey, let's get on the phone here. What's going on? One lady, it was, well, I have 50,000 illnesses going on, which, is that true? Is that not true? I don't know. She was a little crazy. Another one, she has huge commitment issues, and I don't think we loved her enough. She was older, which our demographic is 40 to 60, and she was in her 60s, and she was really sore when she first started working out. And she just had gotten past that. She was 3 weeks in, and then she finally was like, this isn't working out. I was like, well, whoa, wait a minute. I just sat down and did your consultation. What's going on? And for her, it was, I think I've learned enough. I can do this on my own. So there was clearly something else. She didn't feel comfortable. We didn't make her feel confident enough. We didn't make her feel special. And so I kind of have to go back on the coach a little bit on that one, because, man, we didn't get her. We didn't get her from day one. She didn't feel comfortable. She was sore, all kinds of things. So that one, I do feel like we service defect. I feel like we could have done a better job on that one. And then who was the other one this month? Oh, it was finances. But I'm still going back and forth with, because I was like, made a commitment. This is what we're doing. But I said to Tony, I go, just remember, she was a Facebook. And I don't know if she was necessarily our demographic. Yeah.
What about number of sessions attended? Do you track all that?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And all these people have been attending. Oh, and the other one, she just decided to stop working out because she's getting married. This is her second marriage, so she's a little bit older, and she doesn't have to work anymore once she gets married. And I was like, even more flipping reason to be working out. So that one I felt was real fishy too. Like, why wouldn't you continue in our program? She's been doing a good job. And that I said to Tony, I go, man, we got to go back on how we're coaching her, what her accountability was like. Do we not make her feel like if she wasn't at this session that it didn't matter? So that, because we track all of that, how many sessions they make. If they don't make their sessions, we call them. There's a lot of procedure around that. And I don't know if it's getting done perfectly. So that's a service defect again.
Yeah.
Arin.
It's the same as your name, man.
No, brother.
I'm just kidding.
Pardon me for stamp it right here. I hear you use the same phrase over and over. Feel. They don't feel. They don't feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which goes right back to, my caught arms, and that really ultimately matters, right?
Right.
And so just look at it. You go to church and you get a worship experience, and it'll, post
moved. Yeah.
Beyond, on the opposite scope of that, you enter into the world of the demonic by way of politics, and people are angry as heck.
Yes.
Right? And both create community.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what doesn't create community: lukewarm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're not somewhere connecting on one of those polar opposites, they fall into this gray area where they become apathetic.
Yeah.
The great challenge of every fitness community is to create a movement environment, right?
Right.
And so when was the last time you guys did a charity fundraiser?
Probably years now. Yeah, I mean, it was the last time we did our push-ups for charity, and we actually just talked about we need to get that back going, and a client barbecue and all that good stuff. Or just like, hey, we're going to go here and ride bikes this weekend. Who wants to join us? And do it enough time, you'll get a following. But we've been missing those appreciation and good feeling type things for sure.
That would be my first call to arms right there.
Do the fundraiser.
Yeah. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, work on. What Arin just said is priceless, and I hope everybody was paying attention to that because it's watching this, because it's exactly right. It's creating that movement through emotion, and I think there's a lot of ways to do that, and we just outlined a few of them here. But the other thing is real relationship, and I don't know how much you share personally, Arin, about your experiences, but now, particularly as a new mother, I think there's so much that you could do with stories about you and Leo, and you and Tony and Leo, and just creating that really a bonding, strong relationship with you guys as a family-owned business that distinguishes you dramatically from the corporate-owned Goliaths that are out there.
Right. And even because I mean, we have CrossFits down the street, and I mean, they're doing well, but there's a different feeling than our facility. And we get a lot of people post a CrossFit experience. Nothing against CrossFit, just we get them post that experience. And I know that we provide an entirely different experience, but we're not talking about it enough. And I don't talk about what's gone on with me personally, because I think honestly over this last year, I mean, I've just gone into a hiding because of everything that happened with Leo. And I think it would probably be helpful for me to start, and I think I'd be in a good place now to start saying, hey, here's, what we've been through, like maybe 30% of the story. Right. I don't want to dump my entire life on them, but I think it would help them. Just like I was talking to a lady this morning, she was bummed about her shoulder, and I was like, hey, that's 1/4 of your body. You've got 3/4 that still works. And hey, guess what? You can still focus on nutrition. And she's like, I'm glad we talked today. And I'm like, oh my God. But that's my client, and they're hurting, and they've got emotions, and they're going through life. So I think if I can just get back into expressing, hey, we're real people, like you said, the family now, I think that would be resonate. I don't know. Thank you. I know all the damn answers. I just need to do them.
You just used Aaron Crocker's version of the word resonate.
Too long.
It said resignate. Yeah.
What did I say?
Resignate, which is not really a word, but it's related to resign. And so if the word is resonate.
Whatever.
Anyway, beside the point, here's what you should do. Let me lay out a plan of attack for you. This is exactly what you do. You should, number one, write or record a video. I would script it first. I'd write it first, even if you plan on doing a video. I would write about not all of it, as you said, 30% of what you've been through, the joy and the challenge of having a new child, and how that has impacted your business. And the revelation that occurred to you as a result of it is that, hey, as I've taken all this love that I used to give to all my clients, and now I've focused it entirely on Leo, which is the right thing to do, But now I also have to I got to recognize that I need to transition, or come up with more love. I don't know. You got to figure out the words here and get back to what we used to do with our clients. And here's my plan. And then lay out your plan. Here's what we're going to start doing every month. Here's what we're going to do next week. Here's what we're doing the month after that and the month after that. And get people excited about what's coming and your renewed commitment to them in terms of their experience and their goals. That type of thing. And just be very transparent and open about it, and then share that message, and of course follow through with your plan of action.
Right. No, I like that, because I think there's also been, I've had a lot of people say, where have you been? And like, I don't even know how to answer that sometimes. And one poor guy said it to me, and I started tearing up, and he doesn't know what I've been going through, and that's okay. But on the flip side, I was like, I probably should have some sort of a public service announcement that says, hey, here's why I've been MIA, been raising our kid. It's been tough, whatever,
Yeah, it's been wonderful, but tough, and incredibly tough, and outline some of the things, as you said, not too much detail. But then the point is to make this declaration of this epiphany that you had, that, hey, I've kind of neglected my desire to love on you guys too, that kind of thing, and just share it from a very personal point of view and say, I want to get back to that, and now Leo's old enough that we can actually have him join in some of these fun events, and you guys can meet him, and I'd share some pictures of him, and just make it really uplifting. So it starts problem, here's the problem, and here's the solution.
Correct.
Standard sales presentation.
So in that video, put it on like our private page, send it in an email, that kind of thing, to our clientele.
Yeah, everything. You might even consider, I think that's probably the best way to do it. I was going to say maybe even consider mailing a letter to clients, but that's probably overkill. Yeah, I just put it on your private page and send it out in an email and just get the message out. Yeah.
And then kind of wrap that in, because maybe what I could do is use that then to announce, hey, we're going to be having this charity event coming up, and then on this date we're having a client barbecue, and just get some of those things out there. And then obviously, like you said, do it.
Yeah. In fact, I would try and plan 3 different things and list those things out. Say, here's what's coming, so people can put them on their calendar. They can get excited, be prepared for it, and know that it's coming. And that that's that. Yeah.
Would it be weird to give a soft launch for like our next transformation challenge, to include that as a 3, or should it all be given back?
It should be a bring a friend day.
Okay. Yeah, we've got that coming up too.
Or even better, and this is what I want to talk to Deena about too, is the Habit Maker Challenge. And that because we're rolling that out this Friday. Everything will be available. And this is perfect, I believe, for both of you guys in your particular situations, because it does exactly what you want it to do. It builds goodwill and community within your client base, and it generates additional lead flow coming in. You get a chance to give back to community, raise money for a specific charity. You get to develop some partnerships, which, Arin, you're outstanding at anyway. You probably have a bunch that you can leverage immediately. Deena will have to talk about that with you. And so it's a winner in a big way. It's push-ups for charity sort of on steroids.
Okay.
And so that's what I would recommend.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Didn't mean to just dominate.
No, that was a great conversation. I'm glad we had it. But
thank you.
You're welcome. Let's transition. So Deena, it's good to have you on the call. Thanks for making the time.
No problem. Nice to be here.
Yeah. Whereabouts in the UK are you?
I'm in Lancaster, so about half an hour away from Manchester.
Oh, yeah. We know about Manchester.
Yeah.
I mean, Manchester United, but then Manchester mess. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, so give us a little update. How are things going? I know I got your email, but just for the sake of other folks, how are things going, and what can we help you with?
So our club launched about 4 years ago. It initially launched with 4 directors. It's a family-run club, so not a big box club. But we took over a 65,000 square foot building with 3 pools, a load of studios. So it was the biggest club to open in the UK that year. Within a couple of months, we lost 2 directors, and over about the last 12 months, we've lost a 3rd director. So now we've just got the 1 director left. So he's trying to do the job of what was previously 4 directors, and obviously losing those directors and their share, then we've had some financial difficulties that we're resolving at the moment. So we're going through a huge refinance situation, which should be resolved in the next few months. However, to take that pressure off, an uplift of 500 members would resolve all that. At the moment, we have about 4,000 members on our books across all departments, and we have about 700 to 750 children that do swimming lessons with us as well. We are quite a small town, and what we have been competing with recently is everywhere around us is the small boutique studios. We have a CrossFit literally just across that window there, and there's a lot of small boutique offerings about. So to try and offer something rather than just membership, we've just launched, it launches officially next Monday, but it's small group training sessions, no contract, and it's called The Academy, and it's all done on education. So you get all your nutrition, there's private groups, there's your sessions, and just trying to offer something different to your standard. Here's a membership, go and utilize everything. But yeah, what we're struggling with at the moment is getting the leads through the door in the first place, and getting this uplift of 500 members. We are getting a net gain each month, but it tends to be of 5 or 6 people. The reason I'd emailed, so I'd put the Facebook post on earlier today, was we did the Raise the Dead campaign, the tax day campaign. We called it Raise the Dead because we did it over Easter, and we got we got 62 people sign up for a 1-month trial, and at the end of that trial, 10 people converted to annual memberships. So it worked really well. We're going to try that in other areas. So of the 700 swimmers we have on our books, less than 10% of their parents are actually members of the club. So we're going to try that, word it slightly different, but do the same thing again and offer the parents of our swim school swimmers that same offering to hopefully turn those around. And then do the same with a few of our main corporates that we have, where they seem to be struggling for numbers at the moment, to try and get new people to do that. But that campaign was quite an aggressive campaign with the 7 emails in a few days. What we're looking at the moment is for things, new launches that we do, or like we had our birthday party the other week. My director said, "Oh, well, we'll do that same process of what we did for the tax day campaign. So these 7 emails in a few days." And I said, "Well, if we do that for everything we offer, are we just going to bombard people to the point where they click that unsubscribe button? So how would you recommend, just for any standard launches or new bits that come into the club, how would you recommend advertising that? I don't want to overkill it on the emails." So yeah. They're my 2 things. So.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's really an interesting situation that you're in. Let me ask you a couple questions. So why did you lose the 3 directors? What happened?
The first 2, they tried to launch a bit of a takeover behind one of the directors' back within a couple of months of us opening, when he'd taken some time out. So they agreed to separate the company. At the time, they had a couple of a few gyms, very small ones, and they separated it and went the 2 separate ways. The director we lost within the last 12 months, it was mainly down to personal issues, really.
Okay. All right, fine. Now, what about retention? You mentioned that you're getting about 5 to 6 new members a month. What's your attrition? How many are you losing every month?
Well, on average, we take about 150 new members a month, but we lose about 80 that are direct debits that cancel at the end of their contract. And then we have our annual members, of which 50 to 60% of those will renew immediately, and the other 40 to 50 will not renew. So on average, our net gain is around 10 overall.
Okay.
Some months, obviously January, that's a lot higher, but
yeah, but there's so much here, really. I mean, there's one of the things, just to give you one of the things, if I was consulting with you, we'd spend a few days and we'd look at what's happening with your existing members. What's their current experience? What are you doing to aggressively re-enroll them when their annual membership is up, or if they're on a month-to-month, what are you doing to consistently retain them and add value to them? So that really comes down to a communication process, and that's something that would be very, very important. When you get into large numbers of people, like you have a large membership like that, it's critical because you can't communicate with each person individually. You can send them emails, but you've got to have a consistent communication process that shows them the love. So that's a big one. But what about what are you doing now to generate new leads? What are you doing to grow your email list and bring new leads in?
To be honest, we've done odd bits of radio advertising. We've done local media, some newspaper features, advertisements. We've worked with a few partners, a local scouts group have come and used the facilities to do a triathlon. We've had a national autism group come here and put on an event. So a lot of local partners will come and utilise the club, and then we'll get their details that way. And then social media.
All right.
Yeah.
But so
not huge.
Yeah, a lot of little things. Anything that's consistently producing for you. Are you running Facebook ads, for instance, and do they work if you do?
We don't do the sponsored ads. No, we just do our own page, and we do tend to get quite good reach on that, especially if we do something where we're asking people a question or launching a competition. But we don't do ads. Okay.
All right, so I'll give you just some quick feedback on what I would recommend for you, and then get Arin and Arin to chime in and give any feedback they have as well. So as I mentioned to you in the email, I think in your situation, and just now listening to what you've talked about, particularly because you are engaged locally, you have a relatively small town, as you said, those are two excellent features. Those aren't weaknesses. I mean, certainly being engaged locally is a strength, but having a small town, I believe, is generally speaking, as long as it's not too small, is a strength, because it's better to be a big fish in a small pond. So you've got those things going, plus you have a huge membership base that you can leverage. So those three things make the Habit Maker Challenge, I believe, a perfect fit for you, because the other thing is what you just mentioned about now that you're about to launch small group with nutrition. You actually have an upsell too, which is perfect. And so with Habit Maker, you can leverage all of your existing assets, which is your email list, your large membership base, your partnerships in the local community, publicity in the local community, to get the word out about the Habit Maker, which is a charity challenge. So we're not asking people, hey, give us money to become a member. We're saying, hey, donate a small amount of money to charity to get 21 days of fitness and nutrition and learn the fitness habit. You have a facility to fulfill what you need to do. So you've got everything in place here to get a lot of traction with something like this, generate a lot of leads, and to differentiate yourself dramatically within your community because of the charitable association and the partnerships association. So I think this could be, and then beyond this, we're going to line up additional charitable type events, sponsorship events that you can do, partnering events throughout the year. So if in your situation, and for everybody in my view, the focus should now become doing one event a month. And it doesn't always need to be like a 21-day. Some of the events will just be one day. But we'll line these things up. But let's kick it off with the 21-day Habit Maker Challenge, drive a lot of new, fresh leads, get a lot of activity, a lot of attention, and then we need to convert some of those people, obviously as many as possible, into paying members. And that is probably going to be one of the big issues with you and something we're going to have to work on a little bit more. That's my feedback regarding your current situation. I know you haven't seen Habit Maker much about it yet, but does that resonate with you, or does it sound viable?
Yeah, no, it certainly does. I'm looking forward to seeing what that'll bring on Friday. We've just in the last week or two, with regards to the charity partnership SOP, I've been conducting interviews with local charities, and I'm just waiting on those sending over their sort of synopsis of themselves and their personal stories, so that we can put that out to our members to choose our charity of the year. So it sounds like it could fall in line perfectly with that. Would you do it for that same partner that you've chose for the year, or?
You can, it's completely up to you. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of, we all are, of developing relationships. And so I would like, ideally, that you choose someone and you work on developing a relationship with them that becomes reciprocal. So you're helping them and they're helping you. They're going to, and that's the other thing. When you have a good partnership with the charity, they can help promote you, actively because of what you're doing. They say, hey, look, Deena's doing this Habit Maker charity challenge. She's helping raise money for us. I'd love for you guys to pay attention to this and get involved in this. And so that's just another source of leads for you.
Yeah. I had a really good meeting with the local hospital, which on site alone, it has 5,500 employees. And they've said if we chose them as our local charity for the year, that they would actively promote us to all of their employees. They've got a campaign at the moment called Flourish, where they're encouraging their staff to be more active and reduce the strain on the local NHS services by leading by example. So that could be a really good opportunity for a partnership that's quite reciprocal.
It sounds very good. Are they nearby?
Yeah, it's literally 2 miles up the road. So.
Yeah, I mean, because you're always looking for people that have a captive audience, partners that, and this, so not only are they a charity, but they also have 5,500 employees, which I would imagine is probably a decent, a percentage of your entire town.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is significant, because all those 5,500 employees have families and friends. And so now you've got a channel, you've got a communication channel that you can drive through. So I would strongly look at them as a potential partner. Yeah. Arin Crocker, anything you want to contribute or add to this?
Well, low-hanging fruit there, Deena, is that charity. I would go straight to them. I would work that. Here's what I would be cautious of, though. I would do what I could. I don't know if it's even possible, but I would do what I could to find out how many of those are current members. And then you're going to have to structure an offer that's different from active members, from people that you might get in the door. So you're going to have to be a little sensitive on how you navigate those waters, right? Because if you're offering a discount for some reason and people are paying full rates, you're just going to have to take that out, all right? And find out how many of those 500 are currently in your 4,000 members you've got.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Secondly, when you did your email campaign for your Raise the Dead, I love that, by the way, Raise the Dead over Easter, who did you send that to? Was it inactives? Where did they go?
It was to any prospect on our system that had been there for over 12 months.
Okay. So it was segmented. The list was segmented, right? It didn't go to active members.
Not inactive members, no. Just to prospects that had never done anything. Yeah.
Do you have any idea what the metrics are on that? How many people opened?
There was 800 open. There was just under 2,000 emails sent, 800 opened, and then 60 took us up on the offer. Well, 62.
All right. Here's what I would do. I would go right back to those people who didn't respond, right? And I would send them another offer. First, if they opened it but they didn't respond, those are the people I'm talking about. Okay. But these are the people who have already clicked through but didn't respond. I would find a way to re-engage those people that we already know opened the door, right? And maybe announce, upcoming habit maker or something along those lines. But I would definitely segment that little piece of the pie from people who opened and didn't respond, and see if I could not re-engage those calls. We know they're going to open the email, or there's a good likelihood they're going to open.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot you can do. Tactically, there's a lot you can do, without a doubt. I want to address the point that Arin brought up about the offer, specifically the offer. You now have, and this is important, and again, we really need more time to flesh all this stuff out, but you have a situation now, because of the addition of the new service, the small group plus the nutrition, you have a whole new offer. Automatically, you've got a nice new offer. So that's something to take into consideration. You don't, the tax day, or the raise the dead in your case, was a discounted offer. Generally speaking, we're not proponents of discounting. We provided that because it's a quick hit. You can get you some new customers, and that's something that you might want to do once or twice a year. But generally speaking, discounting, we're not fans of. We want to find creative ways to offer make compelling offers to your folks. And now I think you have more ammunition because of this group training and nutrition program, which should be a big winner. But what you should be focusing on, as Arin said, is right now, until we can get Habit Maker going, which for you is going to be starting this Friday, at least you'll be able to look at it. What you want to look at are internal promotions to your existing list, as Arin was saying, to your existing list that are not discounted related, but that are creative. So you now have additional things that you can add, you can talk about, your small group training, your nutrition services. I would highlight maybe your best trainer. I do a trainer of the month and an opportunity, say, hey, this trainer's, he or she is almost booked solid or something, and there's a few openings. There's a lot of creative ways that you can internally market to your list to start generating new additional revenue, and then, of course, additional members, because by your list, I mean not just your existing membership, but also everybody else, prospects that are on your list. Does that make sense? Are you following what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm following. With the new service that we're offering with the small group training, do you have any advice on the best way to get that out there? I mean, we are offering it to members as an addition to the membership, but that obviously it pretty much doubles the price of their existing membership. So we will get a portion of members doing it, but the idea for this is to relaunch the club to a whole group of people who've never joined us before.
Yeah. Arin Lindauer, I'd like to get your input on that, on some of the best, or what your recommendations regarding small group is, what you do, and how, messaging or something, whatever tips you might have to share on best practice.
Yep. So, I mean, we just a little bit of a different model that we do, but so two things that came to mind when we tried to convert everybody over to small group, not that you're trying to do that, but so you've already got members paying a certain price point. There are members that will absolutely pay more money. I'm certain of that. But what you could do is you need to brand it. You've branded it your academy, but start it out as a challenge, or a rapid fat loss challenge, or a transformation challenge is what we've been doing and has been working. But I would set it up in a very start and finish, but your goal is obviously to retain those members into it and say, hey, we're testing the service out. It's new. We want you to try it out at this exclusive offer, but make the price point so that it is something that they would reasonably put into their monthly budget. And then obviously deliver, get them awesome results, show them before and after assessments, what they saw, what results they saw. And especially if you're adding in nutrition, man, that's a huge piece that I think a lot of us miss when we don't add that into our program. So then it's just a matter of now setting up the campaign, which for us, it's a matter of we send out emails and then private Facebook. Hey, we're having this in July, we do a transformation challenge. And so basically it's, hey, you get basically the service you're already doing with us right now. But for your members, it's an added bonus of structured workouts. And when we first launched ours, it was, okay, we've got this time, this time, this time, this time, this time. And I worried that, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to fill these times. Who's going to want 9 o'clock in the morning? We did. We filled those times. So it was just a matter of offering them and getting them in 2 to 3 days a week, 3 days ideally, in these structured workouts that you have. And then over deliver, have maybe a workshop where you said you're going to educate them in nutrition. One thing that we did this last transformation challenge was we had an orientation, and that brought everybody together, and they got really excited and, oh, you're doing it, because they may be members of the gym already and they've seen each other. Oh, I didn't know you were doing it, type of stuff. Because that's when we launch these things internally, I kind of get nervous. Oh my gosh, they're already paying for their gym membership. Now they're going to pay an additional fee. And it's amazing. They'll continue to spend money. But man, you've got an exciting opportunity with especially that large of a membership base.
What Arin just laid out for you is the exact process you should follow. That was beautiful, Arin Lindauer. And so I want to reiterate what she just said, the steps you need to take. Number 1, brand the small group. You've done that. Number 2, sell it as a fixed term opportunity, not an open-ended ongoing solution, because that's much harder to sell. So fixed term. So as Arin said, maybe a transformation challenge or something along those lines where it's 90 days, 60 days, whatever, but it's fixed term. So they know they're only spending X amount of money, and that's perfect. A lower price point, and you can say, hey, this is a marketing test, which that works all the time, and we use it all the time. You can say, it's new, we're doing a test, it will never be cheaper than it is today, that kind of thing. And you can, and that way it gives you leeway to start at a lower price, get those social proof testimonials that Arin talked about by delivering really strongly, and then boom, you raise the price going forward. And one of the things I would encourage you to look at, Deena, is in the Facebook group, under the files document, Rick Streb uploaded his fast action offer template. That's something that I think you can find a way to make work for you, particularly in terms of what Arin was saying about the orientation. So everybody you sell into this transformation challenge, or whatever you want to call it, you put them in a room, and you've got plenty of room at your facility to give them this orientation. And then you make the fast action offer to them, which is essentially where you're selling them right then and there the opportunity, not the obligation, but, or no, it is an obligation. It's a till for bid type obligation. So they're saying, yeah, I want to stick with you beyond this transformation at X amount of money. But if I decide that I don't want that, I have 30 days to make that decision. If I decide I don't want, I have to tell you beforehand. So if they don't tell you, they stay with you. If they do tell you, they're off. It's definitely worth looking at. So there you have an outline of a perfect internal promotion that you can do to your existing members, because you can offer them better pricing because they're already members, and to your prospects on your list that I think will generate some new revenue, definitely generate some new revenue for you. Bring in new leads at this point, but it will allow you to start generating new leads because you're going to get that social proof, get those testimonials, and then you can use that to promote other things. So I think this, in combination with Habit Maker, that's a good plan of action going forward for you.
Well, we've done, since January, we've been trialing these transformations in 12-week blocks. So we've got testimonials from existing members who've trialed them out since January, a couple of different groups. We've split them into 4 main areas, because we've got a professional boxer that works with us. So we've got a boxing one working on agility, mobility, balance coordination, that kind of thing. We've got our fat loss one. We've got a muscle building one for bulking. And then we've got a strength and mobility one, which is your more functional style of training. So we've been trialing those since January. And then this week, prior to the official launch next week, we've put on a taster timetable. and we've put that out there to all our existing members. It's on our open Facebook page, so for anyone to see, and just basically say it's open to members, non-members this week to come along, try out the sessions, see what you think, which one's for you, and then trying to get interested people's details from that to then contact them later in the week as well. So
did you say beta tester?
Sorry?
What was that? Did you say beta tester?
I think you said open tasting, isn't that?
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got a 1 week timetable of 15 sessions, all the different sessions that we offer, and then we're just letting that open to anyone to trial this week to see what suits them.
I see. Well, to speak to Eric and Arin's both comment, the academy that you're launching, is this what you're already talking about? You've already done some of these things, those 4 areas were in the academy?
Yeah, so previously it was just a 12-week transformation program that we were trialing. Now we've got results and testimonials. We've branded it up and we're ready to launch it as an official program.
Okay, I got you. So this may be a moot point, then it may not be worth exploring, but Eric suggested a marketing test. And I was going to, I've used the term beta tester in other promotions in the past. Do you understand what a beta tester is? Does that resonate in the UK?
No, it's not something I'm aware of. So.
Okay. All right. Well, then just disregard it. And let's talk about creating whatever the tagline is, whatever this window of opportunity is that this program runs. You can call it some kind of 12-week experiment, right? Or something along those lines to kind of try to sexy up the name. So the academy is I like the idea of the academy, but for the purposes of our conversation, what Eric and Arin both were talking about, whatever this time period is, you might want to give that a name.
Yeah.
Whatever that name might be, something like the Academy's, 12-week experiment. Or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got to wrap this up, but before we do, one other comment, and that is regarding the open tasting thing. When people are given too many choices, they choose nothing. So I'd be weird. I don't know how you're presenting this. I just listened to what you mentioned, so I'm making some assumptions here. But if you're putting a menu in front of people and saying, hey, we have 12 options, choose one, they're very likely to not choose any at all. What you need to do, each one of these needs to be broken out and promoted independently with some story element to it and some urgency to get involved with it. And you could also look at bundling some of those different options together. But just putting a menu, an open tasting as you call it, in front of them will not be very effective. You'll get some, but it will not, it'll pale in comparison to what you do if you promote one of these with a full description and story and all the benefits, the problems associated, the benefits, and really get that out. So with that said, Deena, I want to encourage you to, if you guys need help with your copy, with your storytelling, with Arin Crocker is the man to talk to. Nobody's going to do a better job of putting that stuff together for you, a promotion for you. And with your base of people, those promotions can be very, very profitable for you guys. So anyway, just food for thought. I know you're a little strapped for cash right now, so that might not be a viable opportunity for you. But if you want big help, he's the man to talk to about it.
And not to keep adding, because I know this is probably a lot of stuff, but potentially what if you looked at the fat loss workouts that you have and maybe those functional workouts and bundling those and just sell the offer towards those workouts potentially. Now, although the boxing, I mean, you could absolutely still get great results from that piece. And then you could almost launch another internal for people specifically wanting strength. like you were just talking about those, because if you could just get really targeted on it, because I think now you've tested it, you've seen it, you've put it out there. Now it's just a matter of, you got to give people an offer. Like, hey, take me up on this, test it out consistently, because one workout, cool, that was fun. Or, they're just kind of touching toes on it. And it's hard to convert someone after just one free session type of thing, without seeing the results. But like you said, you've been doing some tests with it. I think now it's time to just really, okay, here's our bundle. We've been testing, we've been launching. Now we finally have our product. We're putting these things together. And I would almost go, okay, here's my weight loss people and here's my strength people. And then you guys decide where they fit as far as workouts and things like that.
Yeah, that is great advice. And I just go hard with it, an offer that has some real urgency to it, some scarcity, and some urgency. So a hard deadline and a specific number of spots available, because that's what's going to drive action. It's the opportunity plus the urgency. That's what's going to drive the action. And I think the way Arin described it, in fact, since you've already tested it, look at what you've done and see which of those is most popular. And maybe take the two that are most popular and bundle them together if there's a good fit. Alternatively, you can sell one package, and part of that package offering can be, hey, you also get to sample these other things as a result of that. So your most popular is what you focus on, but hey, you also get this opportunity to sample these other classes, which is a benefit in and of itself. But specificity is so important. So that's why we're driving this point home about picking something and going after it hard.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for making time to be on the call, Deena. You're a great addition to the group. I'm glad to have you on. We'll work with you to help you. We want, as you can see, we want to help you.
No, thanks very much, everyone.
All right, great. Arin, you good? Arin Lindauer?
Mm-hmm.
All good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, thank you all very much then. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
You too.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.